And then like maybe the next morning or something when we were out doing a job, we would just seal that little area shut where they would cross the sealer or whatever it is. But yeah, neck it down to where the truck can just get in there, and then you're gonna have to do it in 2 mobilizations. But that's how I would go about it. And again, if you haven't dealt with something like this, it'll be a good learning lesson moving forward of like just making sure you're catching the cost for coming back again on a job like that.
Awesome. Semper Fi, brother. You a Marine?
No. I just did some pull ups. I just did some pull ups at
You got the shirt.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, thank you, man. That's great ideas.
Right on. Any other Billy, I see your hand up. Let's do it, Billy. Billy, you're muted. We got to hear that voice. You're gonna get us all pumped up, Billy.
Okay. All right. So this ain't a traditional win, but it's a win for me. So I got my backup machine, the Titan 3500 is like my go-to because I can load it in the back of my truck for small jobs. The bigger machine requires me to pull a trailer. So the Titan went down. I mean, I used it and abused it in 2 years and didn't clean it out properly, and it bit me in the backside. And so I was doing some routine maintenance on it, and I found that the manifold had a crack in it. So, but to me, I had a few jobs that were outstanding that I had to jump on. I took it. Shout out to Express Pump Repair in Wilmington, North Carolina. Not only did they have a fast turnaround on the parts, but through communications with Titan, they're gonna cover all the non-consumables under warranty, because I didn't know there's a 4-year bumper to bumper on the Titan. I know there's a lifetime warranty on the pump. And just that customer service. I had a rep, a guy that stripes for a living for probably 20 plus years. He spent 30 minutes on the phone just telling me how consumables work versus what is under that bumper to bumper. So shout out for that customer support. And a tip for everybody: get y'all a few you can't see it. That's the inlet valve kit. I always have a few of those consumables on you, especially if you're switching water and solvent paint. It'll save you a lot, a lot of headache.
Golden nuggets coming from Billy Ammons tonight. Thank you, Billy. Thank you. Cool. Let's keep rocking here, team. I'm going to jump right into it, and I want to unpack this here tonight. Your pipeline is your future for your business, right? And so what we need to make sure of right now that you guys are really loading up on your pipeline. It is presently March 19th. And I think that we can all agree that for those of you in the northern climates, you're going to see things open up rapidly sooner than later. And that's going to happen with a turn of the key. I know that I have conversations with some of you on here, and it's like season is already here. It's here. And so you really need to be amping up that pipeline right now. Who here, be honest, raise your hand if you've got your assessments that you're pumping into your pipeline right now, pavement assessments. Be honest, raise your hand if you're loading up the front end of your pipeline with assessments. Okay. I see a lot of thumbs up. I see a lot of hands up. For those of you that don't have your hands up on those assessments, I want you to remember your assessments is an absolute consultative sales tool, and you should really be leveraging that, right? For those of you just starting out right now, it is a massively important part of creating conviction and belief with your clients that you're trying to sell. Because remember, the people that you're communicating with out of the gate, they really need to begin to know, like, and trust you. You have to do that through a process. And so it doesn't happen by magic, right? Raise your hand here. I know we ask this question often. Raise your hand if you love salespeople. Raise your hand if you love people who come in and give you some genuine advice about safety aspects in the parking lot, about drainage effectiveness and those kind of things. Consultative sales. Work the front end of that pipeline. Any questions, by the way, on pavement assessments or working that front end of your pipeline? I know that on roundtables and sales power stacks, we speak about the right kind of prospecting, finding the right kind of clients that you're wanting to go target and go out and provide these assessments for. Was there any kind of questions between the prospecting and the assessment stage in your pipeline? There's got to be some questions. Everyone on here? Yeah, go ahead, Billy.
All right. This might be a question for Dylan. He's like the AK dash guru. I want to be able to streamline a lot of, I'm getting a lot of, like, for example, Walmart or Wendy's. I'm doing those proposals to have a template that I can custom make, because I know, like, that Walmart might prefer a certain paint and certain expectations in their, like, in their schematics or site plans. And I know to pre-populate that, I know there's got to be a better way, and not just creating a new template, but, you know, the drop down for each like itemized service, kind of tailored to, depending on what franchise or what group of places or businesses you're working with. Just to, because I'm sending a lot of the same quotes to say the same thing, and it to make me more efficient. I know there's a way to do it. I just haven't spent the time that I needed to learn the ins all, to make to polish up the, you know, the behind the scenes of how to tailor the proposals. Dylan, do you want to chime in?
So you're trying to cater these assessments specifically to a Walmart?
Well, I noticed that, like, a lot of the stuff that a particular place, what they're looking for, like, I know that they're going to ask for XYZ, like this, like, based on their site plans that you go over, you know. So instead of having to duplicate and type that out every assessment or proposal, have it where it's already pre-formatted in. So it makes you more efficient. You can do instead of a 30-minute proposal or an assessment, you can get that down to like 5 minutes.
Billy, can I jump in? And Dylan, do you mind if I jump in here? I'm going to just respond pretty quickly. You can customize your scopes of work as though you want. So you can just create your own custom scopes that would match up with how you wanted to deliver emotionally compelling scopes for that particular client type. If your question is, can you change the whole template to have a customized template for, like, an actual visual template with scopes and all of that, that can be done, but it would require customization from our team to develop an independent template for Walmart that would be specific to that target audience. But from a scopes perspective, you can add scopes. Man, you could add tennis court scopes, pickleball scopes. You could add landscaping scopes. You could add all kinds of different scopes that you want into the platform.
I think,
and if you need help with that, we can show you how to do that.
Yeah, the scope, the drop down. So what you're saying is, like, because I'll have, like, you know, seal coating, crack filler, and line striping, and then under line striping, I might have, like, things already pre-populated for, like, grinding the old pavement, like, you know, have stuff that's already pre-populated for, like, just ADA and fire lane, or stenciling. Have one for stenciling. But like you're saying, like, if I have a Wendy's or Walmart or whatever franchise, I can put line striping, parentheses, Wendy's, and so that scope of work and all those itemized check boxes is already pre-populated for it, because I don't really necessarily need a different, you know, colorful background for the proposal. I just want to make it more effective, so when I'm putting in the data, it's more streamlined. I appreciate it, Judd. Thank you, Dylan. Both
The other
Dylans.
thing, the other thing you may want to look at is, you know, if you're dealing with a Walmart and you've got multiple Walmarts, we know that the scope of work is probably going to be similar on those. You could duplicate that proposal and then just update the top of line proposal information for the exact location. You'd have to go in and remap everything, but if the if the scope of works are going to be similar, you're just plugging in some new numbers and redoing the mapping on there. So might just be a quick little workaround for you in the short term here.
I appreciate that.
Hey, Judd, I think, and Billy, this might help you too. On your scope of work, you could actually name that scope of work Walmart line striping, and then you set up the, so when you're going through, you can select that. Anyway, that's, on my other software, I have GL codes, or all my GL codes are for different things, and I have GL codes specifically for a gas station. So when I go through and I put seal coat, I'll have seal coat as a general, but then I'll have seal coat that the gas station wants verbiage in there in that. That's what I do. So anyway, I don't know if that's what you're looking for, but you can go in on scope and brand it however you want. And then you just know when you're going through, you select that one. I think that's what you're asking.
Yeah, can I add something there too? I know that you can add subsections to that even without pricing. So let's say you were doing a Walmart and you had Walmart colors or Walmart paint, you describe them specifically. You can just add it as a drop down that doesn't have pricing on it, where your main one would have all the pricing included for that job. So basically just clicking another drop down to add it in, and you can just add, you could add 50 of those different types of things for different companies, what have you. So it makes it pretty easy.
Yeah, Matthias, I do the no pricing, like say my last one is change order, and I list my additional services they might not be aware of. And I don't put a price, I just say add, and I put in the description, if you remove or add a service, it may affect the final quoted price. But I can also use that same ideal for the assessments as well.
Nice. You good, Billy, on that? Beauty. Cool. All right. Let's keep boogieing around the board. Let's boogie around the board. So we were speaking about assessments, right? So I ask a question for all of you right now. From an assessment perspective, when you're doing an assessment, what do you think the most important thing is that you should focus on when you're on site doing an assessment? What would be the number one thing that you should focus on? It's a bit of a trick question.
Liabilities to the property.
Liabilities to the property. It's a good one, right?
Photo documentation.
One more time.
Documentation, photos.
Documentation, photos.
Listen to what the customer wants. If they're a dealership, they don't know they want a curb appeal. If they're a hospital, maybe it's liabilities.
Correct. You don't know what they want until they actually talk to you about what it is that's painful for them. Let me ask you, in our industry, just as I'm going to just say this on average, do you think that the majority of people are just going out there and trying to sell a full service asphalt maintenance job for a parking? Raise your hand if you believe that that's what's happening right now. That the majority of people are going out and just trying to sell crack seal, seal coat, and stripe. They're trying to sell that as one shot, as a full service. So we've got people who are in the industry that have built $1 million businesses that are raising their hand that they believe that that's actually taking place right now, that the majority of people are doing that. And I call it, and you guys have heard me say this, I'm going to repeat myself often because it's really important stuff. If you are going out and selling people vitamins with the hope that you're going to be able to save them money over a long period of time, but you haven't built the trust out of the gate, it's going to be very challenging to do that. If I told you guys right now that I have a vitamin that you can take and, a year down the road or 2 years down the road, you're going to get healthy, the chance of you buying that vitamin is probably pretty slim unless I've solved some pain for you. And so I ask you guys, if your knee is aching or your back is aching and I give you an aspirin right now and I solve that pain and you're like, holy cow, man, that worked really, really well for me. It was a bite-sized piece. You took care of one thing. Now I've got some trust here. Let me go ahead and invest into the vitamins. Does that make sense to you guys? It's a really important piece of that. Brandon, you're working on a project right now that's a very important piece to that whole asset that exists within that property, right? And so solving those pain points are really important. So Brandon, what are some of the pain points relating to a project that you're about to bid on?
That he's facing zoning violations or city violations for the liabilities on the property.
Amazing, right? Like now if you can solve that pain for him and that there, you can eliminate those violations, is there a chance to to scale that opportunity, that lifetime value of that client.
Oh, I believe so. I think that will, I mean, he's a large commercial property manager, so I think we'll achieve all of his properties from that day forward, so.
Yeah, again,
I'll
I
tell
think
you,
it goes back to what the guy wants. I mean, that is his pain, and to focus on his pain and not try to upsell him on seal coating the whole property, or you know what I mean? And that's the critical point of it.
Jordan, I'm telling you, man, like it's one of the most common things. It's like people come back, they say, well, I'm having a really hard time selling jobs. And like, well, let's talk about that, right? It's like, what are you selling? What are you selling? Versus, do you understand the pain related to this property owner or facility manager and what really matters to them about their parking lot? I can guarantee that the majority of people don't get out of their car that are a facility manager, property owner, and the first thing they think about is their parking lot until it's a problem. And then sometimes it's too late. You guys have heard the Wendy with the baby Sarah stroller, right? Right? Like that's a really important story. For those of you that have not heard that story, Skylar will tell that story. Raise your hand if you know the Wendy and the baby Sarah stroller. Raise your hand if you know that one. Cool. Skylar, can you just whip over it quickly? Because it's really important that everyone gets this.
So Wendy is in her nice minivan. She has a brand new little baby Sarah. Wendy's in a hurry. She's got some things going on. Next thing you know, she ended up forgetting her ID at home. So she's getting out of the car and she's getting little baby Sarah out of the back seat. So her husband gives her a ring and she picks up the phone. You know, there's cars, there's traffic going on. She goes around to the back side of the car. She grabs the stroller. She's still on the phone trying to talk to her husband. She's got her purse. She's getting the baby in the seat. Next thing you know, she shuts the door. She comes around the back side of the car, and the front wheel of the stroller gets caught in a pothole, and baby Sarah falls out of the stroller, and baby Sarah ends up getting severely injured, and there's a massive lawsuit at hand. And I definitely picked up the Kroger thing in Canada off of Matthias, but I typically say, yeah, this was a story that happened in Kroger in Canada. I didn't have that part of the story, but I put that part of the story into it. But anyway, I'm like, yeah, this happened at a Kroger in Canada, and this is 100% what we're looking to avoid here at the parking lot, and this is why potholes are such a liability, because we wouldn't want that to happen at your facility.
Thank you, Skylar. I thought you were going to save baby Sarah before she got out of the stroller, but I'm glad that story is not real. It's completely fake, but we have a responsibility team as a pavement asset management company committed to keeping pavement safe. We must indeed follow through with what it is we're responsible for. Jace, are you able to see my screen, brother?
Yeah.
Can you do me a favor and just read out this #1 trip and fall lawsuit that happened in 2020 right here?
Yeah. California Walmart parking lot case, $2.45 million verdict, 2024. Incident. A woman named Kathy Morrow tripped on a pothole in a Walmart parking lot, leading to significant spinal injuries that required major spinal fusion surgery. Outcome. The jury awarded her approximately $2.45 million in damages. Details. The incident occurred in February 2020 at San Diego area Walmart. The pothole was about half an inch deep and was obscured by a shadow from a nearby parked car. Walmart's internal procedures required daily inspections, but the pothole was neither reported nor repaired. Walmart argued that Morrow was distracted by her phone, but evidence showed she was not using it at the time of the fall.
I think we have a responsibility to go and hunt these potholes and these liabilities and these pain points that are existing everywhere. Raise your hand if you've seen potholes on parking lots. They're everywhere. They're absolutely everywhere. What I see often, though, is that people don't actually get out of their car and take the photos and the selfie videos and start to drive the front end of their pipeline and fill up the front end of their pipeline with pavement assessment appointments that literally call this kind of stuff out and then provide the social proof attached to an email that has this exact case that's on it. Any idea? Where do you think that I got? Raise your hand if you have an idea of where I got these trip and fall lawsuits that have all the supporting collateral. Anybody have any ideas where I found this?
Google.
Google, but through a special thing called Chat GPT. Anybody know that? So if you type in trip and fall lawsuit on parking lot proof cases, you're going to find that you're going to have tons of this crap. When you talk about, like, you guys have heard of sidewalk grinding and these kind of things, these kind of services, right? Where you have trip and fall cases that are relating to a lady that was walking along, stubbed her toe against one of the elevated pieces of concrete and trip and falls, and now she's got a massive problem on her hands. Like, these cases are real. And a lot of these facility managers don't understand that these are real until it's too late. And so that pothole story that Skylar just brought up, team, that's a really, really important one that you don't just forget about. But remember that when you're at a lot, I don't care if it's a Walmart, a Lowe's, a Home Depot, a church, I don't care where you are, as pavement asset management specialists, we have a responsibility out there to really hunt these things out and bring them to the attention to the person who's responsible for the lot. Raise your hand honestly if you agree to that. If on, cool. And so, that's kind of my thing, Matt. Your hand's up, Matt, but like, how many different parking lots have we visited today that actually have these liability risks on them? And have we even attempted to go past the person who is maybe standing at the front counter that's processing credit cards, or are we just kind of gently trying? That's the big question. Matt?
So I'm gonna give you another scenario. It's called the green truck scenario. You go and buy yourself a brand new green truck and think, man, this is the coolest. I've never seen it around. You start driving around and you start seeing all these other green trucks. You come across that. Facility managers are the same way. They see their parking lot every day. They don't pay any attention until there is a trip and a fall. So when we're out looking, when those that are new to this industry, as you started looking about seal coating, you're automatically, as you're driving down the street, especially if you attend a round table or two, you're going to start seeing driveways and you're like, oh, that needs done, that needs done. So it's that awareness. And so just becoming that aware and instilling that into these facility managers or owners of properties. If you try to give them, and I've used the green truck scenario before with a gas station company that I do work for. And so his mind now, after a couple of weeks, he gave me a call and he's like, Matt, I can't stop thinking about my parking lots. Every time I go into a parking lot, I think of that stupid ass green truck. But you're just bringing awareness to them, and that will bring you business as long as you're the person presenting that to them. So that was my thought on that.
I love that, man. And you don't know what you don't know, right? I think that's the key. So if we're going into this kind of consultative sales approach with our businesses, and we start educating the facility managers about the things that we're not looking to come in and just take advantage of a facility manager or property owner. That's not the intent. The intent is to give them a report. It's a pavement assessment. We're giving it to them. And I often say that if we have in our mindset, and you don't want to push this too far, but in a sense, we're really doing them a favor. Like, we're actually doing them a favor by doing this. There's no strings attached to this. They don't have to pay for it. Now, I know that some will pay for a pavement assessment. They will. They'll call you back and say, hey, can you come back a year later and do an assessment? We have clients that go out and get paid $1,000 to go do an assessment on 100,000 square feet. But at the end of the day, is the $1,000 important, or is it giving them the information that they are looking for so that you can ultimately then bid on all of the work that needs to get done once they ask you for the pricing on it? And I think that that's the important piece here is sometimes you got to give in order to get, right? And if you give more than you get, then you end up in a spot where the wave just comes back to you tenfold. So fill up your pipeline with all kinds of gives, guys. Multi-location gives, right? It's like, who here would do a free pothole repair that most other companies wouldn't come out to do for $2,000? Who would do a free pothole repair? I would do it if it's the right kind of property that gets me in the door for an opportunity that could be a lifetime value of what it is that I'm looking for to achieve my goals. Right? You got to give. All right, cool. So for those of you that are not loading up the front end of your pipeline, you've got homework. Pavement assessments. Go hunt those potholes. That's your homework. Hunt the potholes. How many pavement assessments are you going to get done for next Wednesday? And by the way, if you happen to go out and do this over the next 5 days, and you did 2 assessments every single day, that's 10 assessments, which means that you're going to convert at least 50% of those to a proposal, which means that that's 5 proposals at a 20% conversion rate, means that you've closed 1 deal. It might take you time to convert it. It could be 30 days, could be 60 days, but what you're going to do is fill the pipe relentlessly on the front end of this. Trust it. FTDP, follow the dang process. It's a numbers game, team. It's a numbers game. And the more you become convicted, the more you can speak naturally about this stuff, the more deals you're going to close. Matt, what's going on?
I'm just looking at my estimates since January right now, the estimates that I've sent out. I'm at $210,000 in estimates. My closing rate, if I go off of what I was last year, I'm like about 46%, almost 50%, 50-50. So even before I get my first load of seal coat, I'm hoping to have, $100,000 in queue to do right off the bat. And then following up with the potholes, I have a street sweeper. I went out to a storage unit. They wanted me to come look at their place. There was gravel all over the place. I said, man, you need this cleaned up. And I said, tell you what, I'll bring my street sweeper over here, clean this up for you, and just keep me in queue for your, I think they said they had 6 locations within my area here, Southern Utah. So, I mean, that couple $100 worth of street sweeping might land me, a couple $100,000 in seal coat. So anyway.
It's awesome, man. And I'll say, like, here's the other thing too, is as you're loading up the front portion, everybody understand, by the way, just raise your hand if you understand what a sales pipeline is. A sales pipeline. Okay. For those of you that don't, I'll just explain it quickly. So like when we think of a pipeline in our mind, a sales pipeline for our industry just naturally will flow here. You've got prospect on one side, right? You've got your prospect on one side. The next stage that you're going to go to is a sales qualified lead, an SQL. Then you go through to a pavement assessment. And then you go through to proposal. And then closed won and closed lost. That's a standard lengthened pipeline. And of course we can get more granular within that if we wanted to, but I just want to generally put that down so you guys can take some notes on that. But what happens is a lot of the time is we do a hard push in the beginning of the season and we get that front end of the pipeline moving. For those of you that go aggressive on the sales side of things, you get the front end of your pipeline, you start scheduling work and everything right in the front end, in your front end of your pipeline, like Q2 usually, if you're starting in a year start Jan. You go in and you start to do that work. If you don't have sales people that are still loading the pipeline and you're just self-performing owner operator, what you're going to have is what's called the roller coaster drive. You're going to go self-perform on the projects you loaded up on the front end, but you don't have anything coming behind it. And so you're dipping in, you're going to go perform that work and it comes in sprints and waves. The mission is for you to, as an owner operator, if you're out operating in the field and you're selling the jobs on the front end of your pipeline, going to perform the jobs next, you're going to have a problem. You need to have that sales. Am I making sense? Like the sales need to come sweeping through to keep you performing out in the field throughout the year. Otherwise you have your dips in your revenue and it's hard to hit your goals. You need to make the most I think here's where I'm going. You need to make the most out of the days that you can work in a year, because you probably people in the north in our industry have around, what is it, 150, 160 days in a year if you're lucky on 160. Is that what it is, Skylar, for actual asphalt seal coating and maintenance generally?
120 with rain and everything else. Like it's beat. It's like 120. And then, I also factor in productivity rate as well too, right? Because say we have 120 days, but the first hour of that morning every day or whatever is loading equipment and doing that stuff. It's like really 120 days. So when I'm figuring overhead covering costs, it's 120-day factor.
And so the bottom line is if you have 120 operating days in your state, you're going to end up in a spot essentially where you're only limited to your limit on being able to perform on these projects is based upon your crews and the equipment that you have. And so what you're selling, how to balance that, but without having a salesperson that's out there engaged in selling these jobs, which I just met with Bryce and it was awesome. He's going to close like 2 million plus this year. That's what he has on target.
Yeah, he quoted 1.4 this month. So yeah.
So 1.4 in quotes, amazing, right? He almost did 1 million in sales last year, first year selling. But my point is that sales volume needs to continue to push to keep all of your equipment performing, because you don't want to have idling assets that aren't out there in the field, right?
Yeah, it should be a KPI you're tracking too, equipment utilization rate. And if you're not using equipment, it's costing you money. So schedule more of those jobs.
Raise your hand if you're owner operator, you're selling the jobs and doing the work. Raise your hand if you're selling the jobs and doing the work. Do you guys know what I'm talking about with a bit of that roller coaster? Matt, it's probably a little different for you because of the recurring business that you have coming back in your pipelines, but you probably still do experience a little bit of that up and down revenue that fluctuates. Is that right? Billy, you experience that where you go and sell a job, do a job, then you have to go hunt a job, sell a job.
Yeah.
Job.
I work a full-time job and do this on weekday nights and weekends. So even at work, I'll be answering the phone. Don't tell my boss.
I won't tell him. I won't tell him. One day he might see these roundtables, brother.
It's in my timeline, Judd, my 18-month goals, I won't be there.
Congratulations on the freedom that you're building, man. I love that. Nice job, man. Well done. All right, we are sitting at 7:45 p.m. We've got about 15 minutes left, team. Let's open it up to questions and answers. Feel free to pop your questions either in the chat, or you can go ahead and use that little reaction button down at the bottom. Just pop the little hand up and we can go around the board here. It's good to see new faces on here too. Raise your hand if it's the first time you're on a roundtable here, guys. Cool. Nice. Grant, where are you from, man?
I'm from Omaha, Nebraska. So I'm trying to make this my full-time thing. I've got a partner. And yeah, if I only got 120 working days, a lot of questions. So confused. We just got our first job, 4 lots for a local fast food restaurant. So doing crack fill and parking lot striping. But I mean, it's confusing. A lot of our quotes were going in low this year because it's our first year. But then I got a call back from someone saying we're high and they wanted a seal coat, striping, and crack sealer on a 10,500 square foot place for $1,800. And it's intimidating the first year because it's like, well, do I say I'll price match and maybe lose money, or do I say, hey, I don't know who gave you that quote because that's ridiculous. But I do cold calling for my day job, so I understand the pipeline. It's just building it myself has been confusing.
Well, you just start up, right? So you've got a fire hose that's basically just flying in your face right now. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes it flips the eyelids backwards. So it sucks.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you want to be connected with the with the right community and the systems to be able to achieve the result of building your business. So let me ask you a question. What's $4,000 times 120?
Well, I'm doing this because it's not rocket science, so I might not be the brightest.
Or we got this.
Um,
Brandon's got the answer. Brandon, you've got the answer, right, Brandon?
4,000.
480.
What, say one more time? What was the question?
What's 120 times 4,000?
480,000.
480,000?
Yeah.
Is that what it is? 480,000. All right, guys. So 480,000. Yep, we've got it. $480,000. That's if you do 4,000 a day, right?
Yeah.
What would you need to do to make $4,000 for every working day out there? What kind of project would you need to do?
I mean, maybe some smaller line stripes or a seal coat and crack fill for a place. I don't know. Yeah, you're asking all these trick questions. I don't know the answers. I'm just absorbing stuff right now.
I'm shooting the shit right now. So like if you wanted to hit a revenue goal, what would be that revenue goal that you're wanting to hit?
I wanted to do 100,000 this year because it's our first year, and the goal is by next year to be able to quit. I just, want to make that come true. See some faces on here that have made that true. Anyone from where it does snow make that true where they're able to quit their job? Yeah. Cool.
Come on, let's see those hands for real, guys. Come on, raise the hands. Who here's been able to make more than 100 grand a year doing this business? Come on, raise your hand.
Judd, I'm wondering if he's saying you want to bring home 100 grand for yourself or for your business.
For the business, just to start. Yeah, just.
So then are you looking at making $30,000 this year or $60,000 personally?
Yeah, honestly, I'll be honest. I'm not too concerned about what I'm making this year personally. I want to reinvest it into the company so that by next year we've got what we need and we can just, blow it out of the water. So the biggest goal is to be able to quit next year. But I live in Omaha, so yesterday it was 70 degrees and today we had a blizzard. So I'm nervous that I like the industry. I want to do this. I don't know if I'm the right one to be an entrepreneur to be able to quit a full-time job while it snows in my area.
Fair enough, man. Fair enough. Well, I can tell you that Skylar, it snows and Skylar hasn't stopped for 12 months.
Yep. It snows here a lot and we work year round, basically. I mean, you stripe with solvent, you're painting when it's flurrying, basically. You're crack filling as long as you have like any type of heat and compressed air. Indoor stuff is significantly, switched there, right? Indoor line paint, and we do control joint stabilization indoor in the winter. And again, like perspective of 120 working days, like I have foremans inside of the business that make more than 100 grand. So that's the perspective of what you can build in 120 working days with the right team and a good pipeline.
Cool.
Rand, I was asking about the $4,000 a day because there's jobs out there that are $40,000 jobs. And if you put out, you know what I mean? Like that's like 10 of those $4,000 jobs. The question is, do you have the right training underneath your belt to have the right foundation to operate from? One, and two is, can you do the in-field self-performing work, or can you sub the work in? That's what it really comes down to, right? It's understanding the key components of the business versus going out there and just winging it. And so congrats on showing up here, man, and congrats on starting your new endeavor. And I would say this, like, if you're exploring building your own business and you're excited about doing that, just know that it's very normal in a lot of cases for the magnetic average of the way that society trains us to really try and grab us back to just being safe. And it can be one of the most shackled feelings ever. It can bring a lot of fear on. But my recommendation to you is, if this is something that you really want to do, don't be overly risky, but you have to be willing to be risky in order to go and seek a bigger, brighter future for yourself, man. It's it's the way you grow.
Yeah, and I don't want to take up all the time. One question that I came with was, how do you, the bigger property management conglomerates, assuming they don't do it in-house, how do you reach those guys? How do you get to them? And, you know, I'm totally fine selling myself, but it's hard when I'm just getting that, you know, 888 number the whole way long.
Brandon, you want to jump in? I know that you came off mute there. You wanted
Yeah,
to jump in.
so I own a towing company here in Columbus, and the reason why we got into the asphalt maintenance business is because my towing company services almost 4,000 private properties in Columbus. And we're one of the largest like towing companies for privately owned properties, large management companies. And the way that we've gotten ourselves into the door with our towing company is just simply going around talking to the property managers. They'll generally refer you to a regional manager, and you just kind of work your way up the food chain. But you'd be surprised what an actual apartment community manager has the authority to do and has the ability to get you started working with them. So a lot of our contracts, I'd say 80% of them are probably just achieved by the property manager themselves. So from the asphalt maintenance business, I'm assuming that it's probably going to go one step above them, but I still think it's a good place to start.
Cool. Yeah, I think, yeah, that's okay. That works.
We also have Colton that's coming in behind here. Grant, I'll just say this too, man. Like I gave, and Billy, you know who they are, Harbor Seal Coating, Wilmington, North Carolina, Miller Diggs. I'm like, dude, go repair some potholes on Bojangles. Just go repair some of those potholes because they're tripping hazards on the lot. And then just start giving them some solutions to their pain points. And then once you do that, you just open up the door. Instead of them advertising on Google, they go fix some potholes to get in the door, and then they're able to do, 8 to 10 of those properties, and then they scale amongst the Bojangles QSR network. So it just takes that initial connection to help them with their pain points.
Didn't Chris, the striping guy, also go do just a handicap stencil repair for a guy at a restaurant? He was taking his wife on a date, and then the guy ended up having 14 locations, and it just kind of ballooned from there. So there's easy small things you can do to give.
You got it. Cool. Mike, I dropped you a message in there direct, by the way. You were messaging, it's in there now. Colton, hand up. Let's roll, brother. Sorry for the delay.
No, you're good. I was just kind of wondering, so let's say you did an assessment and you got to the proposal part and you're just not really getting a response or anything from whoever's in charge of that parking lot. How much time do you really want to put into trying to get in contact with them and try and get responses and stuff?
Based upon our world that we live in today, how many follow-ups do you need to do? Anybody know how many follow-ups? I think we've gone through this. So we've got Matt Phillips he's saying 13, 12 to 13,
12 to 21.
What are you saying? 12 to 21. And you've got 14, Dylan Malone, 14. I would say to you, Colton, man, like if these, just don't do it for, $500 jobs. That is a one-time job that you might do every 3 years. I wouldn't do it for, but the reality of it is if it's a $500 job that could lead to a $100,000 job, you're going to follow up more than 12 times. You're going to stay on it until you tell. Right.
And for me, it's like most of the jobs I do proposals for are like that $1,500 to like $5,000 because I'm just patching by myself for now. But I don't know. To me, it just, I'll keep messaging them, but it just feels weird to like message them once a week and not hear anything back and then message them again. It just felt kind of like maybe I was going to be bothering them. But no, that's good information. Thank you.
Let me ask you guys here, because you're on the round table and you communicate with our team. Raise your hand if you've been followed up with by our team members to communicate with you more than one time since we've connected. I think you can all raise your hand probably, and it's because we genuinely care. Like we genuinely care. We want to build our business, but the only way we build our business is by creating experiences like this. We have to continue to do this. You're going to get, the marketing will touch you, the sales team will touch you, we'll literally be in this together to continue to drive as much value as we can. And at any point that any of you say, hey, stop calling me, I don't want to talk to you, or F off or whatever it is, then at that point we can we can happily depart. But until we've given it our best shot and tried to be as much of a lighthouse to you, we're going to keep going until you guys tell us to stop. It's just the way we roll. It's what we've done for 22 years.
Yeah, I'll say as a new customer to Asphalt Kingdom, we just signed up, I don't know, within the last 30 days. You know, it was kind of hard to believe that Judd was going to be so involved, and I think it was last night at 9 o'clock at night. He called me from eating dinner with his wife to talk to me about stuff that we had going on. So I don't know how involved you are with different parts of you know, Asphalt Kingdom, but as a new customer coming on, you know, I would highly suggest getting more involved and reaching out to Judd and having them help you do whatever, you know, you might be, you know, dealing with. So it's true. These guys, they stick by you 100%. I mean, Skylar's been great, Dylan, everybody's been great. So it's been a good experience so far. And we kind of jumped into it head first. We got to kind of put the cart in front of the horse here with a big job, and they've been helping us along. So
we appreciate you, Brandon. Appreciate your words, and we're grateful to have you as part of the community. It's going to be awesome to see you grow. I know that you're going to grow rapidly. To think that that the initial kickoff is basically we haven't done it this way before, but you are definitely right out of the gate putting out a proposal that's a fat proposal, and I have a feeling this is a small one of many to come. So it's exciting. You guys mark my words. Brandon will own a massive pavement management business, pavement asset management business, and it's going to happen. It's going to happen fast. And the reason why I know it's going to happen fast is because he's investing not just into the foundation development, but he's actually investing his personal time. You know, owns a massive towing company. You own 60 plus trucks a part of your company, right, Brandon?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, massive company, right? 17 years, is that right? 17 years in business, is that right?
18 this year, yeah.
18 years in business. And Brandon is building this with Jordan right now and team to get this whole thing kicked off. And it's very rare that you see people who are extremely, extremely successful go and build another venture from the ground up. A lot of the time they just peg it to other people, go build this, go do this for me, or whatever it is. And it doesn't have the heartbeat that it needs from the leadership, right? And so I think that that's such an important thing. The reason why I do these roundtables, the reason why I do those late night calls, the reason why I go above and beyond is because I actually genuinely with our team care about your guys' success. That's the truth. We care. So I hope you guys care about your customers too that way, right? And so that's a really important thing when you're building your culture in your organization and you're adding your team members. Pour into your team members, do the training that's needed, right? You know, every morning we spend 15 minutes. Well, it's more than that. I think Team AK, we spend more than that. It's sometimes 20 to 30 minutes every morning, but we pour into each other and we get the optics and we get to build a culture and see each other. And that creates a heartbeat in the organization that's very special. So build that culture. And for owner operators that are one person or two person teams with your business, still you should be nurturing at a same level where you're making your business exciting, where you kick the sheets off and come to work and you're excited about your business. Nobody here, I don't think, right? You guys don't want to come to work that's kind of dry and shitty. You want to be excited. Life's short, man. You want to make the most out of it. Cool. On that note, I think that's everybody good to wrap up right on that note. I think that's right top of the hour. Awesome. Cool. And of course, for any of you that have any questions at any point in time, please do not hold back. Reach out to us. We're here for you. We'll always go above and beyond. And the only silly question is the one unasked. But we thank you for attending the AK Roundtable here tonight on March 19th, 2025. We're looking forward to the next meeting next week, same time, same place, right here on the AK Roundtable. Matthias, thanks for co-hosting. Thanks for coaches, McCann, Malone. Everyone on here, thank you so much. Have a great night.
Thank you. Good job.
Thanks, Judd. Thanks, guys.
Welcome, everyone. See ya.